Okay, I've worked all the way up and I've got 13 squares joined on. This is the last one, and I've bound it across and then ended off my thread. Next row, right back at the beginning. Now you know it's the beginning row because your thread is coming from a corner that is not diagonally opposite your squares you've been making. See, they're joined on in the corner. The thread's coming from here, which is where we started, so we know this is our first square. Sometimes after you put it down and come back to it, you're not quite sure. Okay, put on my next colour. Now if I just bring over me hot water bottle cover and show you, that goes on the light colours. The next square will be this darker colour here, joins on to the corner and across the bottom and up the side will also join. So you're going to be joining your dark thread, in my case, could be any colour, whatever colour you like. You're going to be joining it opposite the spot that the thread comes from. So you find your loop in that side, and I join with having my slip stitch on the hook and doing a slip knot on the hook and then doing a slip stitch through, and it's got a good solid join. So we're going to join along the top of this square, which is the binding off, and then also join as we go up the side of the other square. So we're picking up under the V, which is the binding off. You're picking up the loop. You don't have to make any chains because you're picking up into a square that's already there. And after you've done your big long base row, the very first row you do, you don't have to do that manufacturing of a base row anymore. So we've picked up all the way along in those binding off, and we've got 6. Remember, you need 7 to start. Turn this square over, it's just flipping down. Your 7th one is your join. I always count from the top. Remember, you've got 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th one down there, that's where you pick it up. And now you've got 7 on again. Because you've got a join here, you don't have to go through 1 at the beginning. So you're just pulling through 2s all the way across. Down to the last one, you've got 1 loop on. Go find your bars and slide under your bars to pick up. And you've picked up under all your bars. You should have this 6 on, and the 7th one is your join. So you go joined in that one. The next stitch above is where you put your next thread through. So then you're taking off. You've already got a join, so you don't have to make an edge. So you're taking off in 2. Down to 1 loop on your hook. Picking up, find your bar, which is a little bit harder to see in the dark colour, which is why I started off in the light colour for you. And got to there, no more bars to pick up under, so you'd pick up into the next stitch up on the edge. Then you're taking it off. So that's all you're doing, is picking up and taking off, picking up, taking off. Each row, as I said, is double work, so it gives you a nice thick fabric. At the end, go up 1, pick up. The thread out of the way at the back. I leave my ends and I darn them away down the seam between 2 squares. You've got your little bumps at the back, easier to darn them into. And you'll see when I come back and show you at the other end of the pale row, I had a particularly bad batch of wool and I've got a few ends on. I've had to cut and join along that ball. I've got no ends to pick up on that side, so I must have 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember that last row still open, hasn't been bound off. Bounding off, same as before, under the bar and through everything on the hook. Once again, remember to do this fairly loosely because you will be picking up into that for your next light colour row. Alright, picked up under all the bars. Now this is a bit different because you've got this square here now. You also bind off over to it. And gets it attached. So that's got one square done. And pick up for the next one. I always untwist that one in my hand. They always twist until you get your second row on, then they don't twist anymore. So you're going under the stitch, that's the binding off stitch from the top of the pale colour, and you're just pulling up the loop. This is why you don't bind off too tightly, because when you come to do your next row it becomes hard to get into. It's got all of those stitches picked up and I've got 6 on the hook. 7th one is your join. I always count from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th stitch is your pick up stitch. You're taking off in 2s. Why I always count from the top is, and it has happened a couple of times recently, I've made an extra row in that row, base line, and I had 6 rows instead. Now if you count down from the top and go into the 5th stitch, it's easy to fudge. It's much easier to fudge at the bottom of that block than at the top. You don't notice it so much if you just go up one right at the beginning. If you try and fiddle it at the top, it's much easier to see. So I always count down the number of rows I want. Almost finished this square. It's the same as all the others, picking up, taking off. You've got 6 on your hook when you finish picking up your bars. Your 7th one is your join. And then you're taking them off in 2s. Picking up again. Once you've got your base first row done, it's so easy you don't really have to count. Just when you run out of bars, you collect up here. Now this is the last one. Up here there's no stitches above to go into, so this will be my row number 5. I go back to the end and just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It hasn't been bound off. Under the bar, through everything on the hook. Remembering to do it loosely. And you get to the back and go into the corner of your light square and bind that together. Okay, so that's got 2 dark squares done on top of the 2 light squares. Now I'll just show you something here. See on the edge you've got your V's, the upside down V's there. I'll turn them up that way, the right way up. And down this side you've got your V's. Across your top of the binding off you've got a V. Down the side you've got a V. Down the side of this first square you've got a V. And because we went into the back of the first chain, you've got your V along there. But up here you haven't got a V. That's where we made the edge. And along here, bottom of the manufactured, can't really see a V there either. So up this side there's no V's to go into. There is places to go into, but I'll have to come back and show you that. For now, You're finishing this row, you're picking up across the top, you're joining on the side. Finish your square. Remember to bind it across. You're binding off, make sure you bind it across. So you finish all the way up to the top and then end your thread. I'll come back and show you where to finish up the top if you don't keep going. And then I'll show you how to do the third row.